And we begin tonight with what should be a happy new year. But instead, it's a tragic one, marred by violence and death. 14 people were killed and more than 30 injured when a 42-year-old U.S. citizen and Army veteran from Texas rammed a pickup truck into a crowd during New Year's celebrations on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Details continue to emerge about the victims as mourners flock to the scene to lay flowers. The dead include Matthew Tenedorio, who, according to his mom, worked at the New Orleans Superdome. She said it was the job of his dreams. Reggie Hunter of Baton Rouge, who died after the truck hit him, according to his cousin. Hunter had been with another cousin who survived the attack. Kareem Badawi, an 18-year-old who had just completed his first semester at the University of Alabama, was home for the holidays. His father said Kareem was the youngest of 3 children and that his 6'5" son was beautiful and still referred to as the baby. Nikera Cheyenne Dado, another 18-year-old and recent high school graduate, was also killed, according to her mother. Her mom wrote on Facebook, quote, "When your parents say don't go anywhere, please listen to them. This was an act of terrorism, and now my baby is gone." Don't go anywhere. It's a line that underscores the seemingly endless age of American violence. These victims, young, diverse, full of promise, out with friends, as they should be on New Year's Eve, represent the America we should be, celebrating, happy. But instead, these young people are having obituaries written about them. The tragedy also highlights how prevalent disinformation has become in shaping our political discourse, how quickly it muddles the chaos, and from the highest levels, with Donald Trump blaming the Biden administration's border policies for the attack, even though authorities have identified the assailant as a native-born U.S. citizen, again, from Texas. The lies started, as many lies do, on Fox, when the network erroneously blamed open borders for the attack, citing anonymous sources that claimed the New Orleans suspect's truck crossed the southern border in Eagle Pass, Texas, 2 days ago. Trump then issued a statement about criminals coming in, which unleashed even more lies about so-called migrant terrorists from Republican members of Congress, including House Speaker Mike Johnson, along with the likes of Donald Trump Jr. and Marjorie Taylor Greene, 2 people who do nothing for the American people and who love posing with guns. The new year we've entered already has violence around us everywhere. As you probably saw on all of your feeds, a Tesla Cybertruck exploded and burst into flames Wednesday morning just outside the entrance of Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas, producing this dramatic scene that seemed like a fitting symbol for our era. Instead, a decorated U.S. Army soldier, believed to be the person killed in the explosion, suffered what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound before the truck went up in flames. Authorities also say they have found no definitive link between the New Orleans attack on New Year's Day and the Vegas Tesla Cybertruck explosion. We also learned this week about an unsettling story out of Virginia, where a man was arrested with what federal prosecutors described in court papers on Monday as the largest cache of finished explosive devices ever found in the FBI's history. Investigators discovered more than 150 devices, mostly pipe bombs, on a property outside Norfolk. They also found pipe bombs in a bedroom inside the man's house, loosely stuffed in a backpack that bore a patch shaped like a hand grenade and a logo reading #NoLivesMatter. This is the way America rings in a new year, and there is nothing happy about it. In the wake of the New Orleans attack, the Sugar Bowl was postponed and rescheduled for today. Notre Dame and Georgia faced off this afternoon at the New Orleans Superdome in the final college football playoff quarterfinal. The flags outside the Superdome flew at half-staff. How quickly life goes on, because life must go on. But also, were those spectators and workers safe? The thing is, crime is actually down in America year over year. But it doesn't feel safe in this, the most violent, non-war-torn country on earth. We're frankly terrorized, numb and terrorized at the same damn time. Joining me now is Charles Blow, a New York Times columnist and MSNBC political analyst, and Mitch Landrieu, the former New Orleans mayor and former co-chair of Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign. Mr. Mayor, I do want to start with you. We know that there's an interfaith prayer service for the victims and their families. That's going to be held on Monday. And the quote was to bring peace and unity in our community. That's according to the Archdiocese of New Orleans. Talk to me about your community and how they are recovering from this awful, awful tragedy.
Well, Joy, thank you. It's nice to see you. And Charles, thank you. I'm sorry that I can't be with you, my fellow New Orleanian. It's an awful time. It's a very sad time. For people that know the people of New Orleans, our hearts are always open to having millions of people come into our homes with food and music and fun. And we try to celebrate the joy of life, and we want to receive as many people who want to come. So when something like that happens in our hometown, every person in New Orleans is hurting. So our thoughts and prayers out to the families. The pictures that you had of the folks that got hurt, I mean, those are our people. And so our hearts are broken. We also want to thank the first responders, those police officers who ran to the terrorists and ran to the fire rather than against it, actually saved more lives, as well as all of the law enforcement folks that helped, and our medical personnel. You saw today, Joy, you just mentioned it, that we got back up and 60,000 people went to the Superdome today, because the people of New Orleans are never going to bow down to terrorism and people who are going to try to stop us from enjoying the freedoms and the joys that we have of life. And we have to figure out a way through this. You see this. You saw this after the Boston bombing. You saw it after 9/11. You saw it after the MGM Graham. You cannot let the terrorists win. And it's critically important. But it is equally important to be honest and truthful about where the threat is coming from. And so this was an American citizen who was from the great state of Texas. This was a domestic threat. This was it did not have anything to do with the border, notwithstanding what our speaker said or the president intimated. And the reason it's important to be clear about that is so that you know where the threat is coming from, so that you can figure out how to, A, stop it, and B, make sure that you respond to it in the appropriate way. And I'm sure that the president, I know President Biden has been working on this around the clock. I'm sure the Trump administration will think through this as well. But federal, state, and local authorities have to really work together to secure the streets of America in a thoughtful way that actually honors the truth and is transparent.
Yeah, and well said. And, Charles, Mayor Landrieu mentioned the speaker, so let me play him. This was his reaction, and we're not sure when in the timeline this is, because Fox did have to walk back their claims about this having anything to do with the border. But here's Speaker Mike Johnson.
The congressional Republicans, we here in the House and the Senate, have repeatedly asked the DHS under the Biden administration about the correlation, the obvious concern about terrorism and the wide open border.
Nope. There is nothing. This has nothing to do with the border. And yet, there's a dual sense here where, dang, young people can't enjoy anything. You can't go anywhere. You either have a threat of a mass shooting at school or at a parade or at a concert. You can't go anywhere. And now you can't even enjoy Bourbon Street without the fear of not even just mass shootings, but this kind of terrorism. And then on top of it, you have what's supposed to be a news organization lying to their audience because they can never miss an opportunity to tie any bad thing to the border, because that's their tick, right? Everything is the border. Everything is immigrants. Everything is the border, the border, the border. And now they have lied so much that Donald Trump is repeating it and the Speaker of the House is repeating it. Your thoughts?
Well, welcome to the next 4 years of America. I mean, this is what we have to brace ourselves for. People, one particular news entity not being rigorous enough with its facts, but also a president and a party that is going to be kind of slavishly devoted to that version of truth, even when they make a mistake. Listen, I think, we're in the news business. People make mistakes. You clean it up as best as you can. That's part of the business. I'm not trying to come down on them and say that, they're the only people who have ever made a mistake. I am saying, however, that, you cannot escape the fact that this is a brown suspect with an exotic name, an Arabic name, and that was so convenient for people. They wanted so desperately to be right, they didn't slow down enough to want to be righteous. And they wanted so desperately for this to confirm everything that they were saying about immigrants, what they were saying about people in the Middle East, what they were saying about the Biden administration. And so they swallowed this hook, line, and sinker and got out over their skis. And the president is the kind of person who has yet, as far as I can see, I have not seen that he has walked back what he said, which is the most dangerous part of the information environment that we are in now, which is that the first initial statement carries the most weight. And even